Hey, final story in 1980s news, per Joe Blow, raises this question. Is Robert Eggers directing a film set in the world of Labyrinth? Rumors are circulating that Nosferatu director Robert Eggers is being lined up to direct a reboot of the fantasy classic Labyrinth. The 1986 cult film, directed by Muppets creator Jim Henson, produced by George Lucas, written by Monty Python star Terry Jones, and starring David Bowie, seemed destined for, like, I mean, how
there you
did
go.
this fail?
Right.
I think ultimately it had more cult success than it did box office. But it also never had a sequel or remake, but that speculation has been rife for years. In fact, back far as 2016, reports have been making the rounds that a second installment was in the works. In 2017, it was announced that Don't Breathe's director Fede Alvarez had signed on to helm a spinoff of the film. I believe we talked about that when we talked about our long list of 1980s related films and checked on the status of them a year or so ago.
I think we did.
Right.
In fact, Jennifer Connelly, who starred in the original, was reported to be in conversations to return in the role as Sarah, the girl who searches through the labyrinth to find her baby brother Toby. But now it appears that we've taken a different path with Eggers, who's known for The Witch and The Lighthouse, which are good films. I like those movies. Being linked.
Well, The Witch is good.
Yeah, that's true. The Witch is fantastic. Yeah. Lighthouse is a little.
Lighthouse.
It's kind of weird. Yeah. But that via Jeff Snyder of the In Snyder, that Eggers is signed on for this project with Sony Pictures, which he would also co-write with Icelandic screenwriter and frequent Bjork collaborator. You know, I'm cutting this all out. I can't pronounce these names.
Bjork collaborator?
I had a whole other problem before. Whatever.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is it's challenging to listen to.
I'm
trying to keep it all straight.
It's
in my
hard
head.
to say.
He's who now? Collaborates with what?
Yeah.
What
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. What you need to know is, if these reports are true, Lisa Henson, according to the report, remains as a producer alongside Home Alone and Harry Potter director Chris Columbus, who also produced Nosferatu, I believe, for Eggers. Yeah. And would star Alexander Skarsgård as the Jareth, the Goblin King, the role that Bowie played. And Bill Skarsgård
to fill.
What's that?
Yeah.
Right? Pants, right? You mean pants? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah.
Awfully tight pants to fill? Is that right?
Okay. Both, yeah. Certainly.
Maybe they're
Bill
baggy.
Skarsgård plays the vampire in the Nosferatu film right now. So this is a lot of folks that work together.
Cool.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Quite honestly,
Yeah.
Labyrinth was fine. I mean, do we need a new one? Maybe it would be better. I don't know.
Yeah, there's my double question. The first is, there's a little bit of a blur in this article that it sometimes says it's in the world of, and sometimes it says a reboot. And you know my feelings on those. There's no need to reboot things that are fine.
Right.
Just do more in the world. It's like those TV shows we just talked about. Don't pretend the movie didn't exist and then do a TV show. The TV show is about the movie. If you're going to make another movie, do it about the other movie and continue the story, or in the same world or something. But that being said, aside, might be irrelevant when you come down to Labyrinth is just one of those things. Does it need more exploration of its world? Is that going to make it better? Or the fact that it's so, like, poetically esoteric and weird that I don't know what's going on is part of what makes it magical.
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to, here's how he was able to juggle those 3 crystal balls in one hand. What? Don't show me how he did it. That's part of the magic. Oh, he's a special race. He has suction cups on his fingers. No, don't tell me that, you know.
Here's where he found each one of the balls.
Right.
And then finally he had 3.
Oh, no.
Right. It's a quest movie. Right? I'm worried that a reboot is one thing that I don't care for in general, but I'm worried that Labyrinth is something that does not need to be deeper explored, but it makes it less magical, I guess. I kind of said that already, but you know what I mean.
I don't think it needs to be done, but I'm always on board for anything to do with Muppets, puppets, with the Hensons.
Well.
So if it happens, I'm ready to be entertained. I'm fine with it. I'm okay without it too. So we'll just have to see what happens.
I'm not going to not watch it, and I'm not going to claim it ruins Labyrinth. I'm just saying,
right? Yeah.
You could make an incredible movie that doesn't exist in the world of Labyrinth. It's just that feeling that you need it anchored in something to have a quick in with an audience to make that sequel money that we just talked about at the beginning of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, just as a side note, I suppose, or maybe it's not a side note. Maybe it's what's the opposite of a side note? The main note, I guess.
Yes.
The front note. Maybe as a front note.
Note, back note.
I mentioned that
Side
book, Douglas
Post-it note.
Burton's book, The Heroine's Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And one of the aspects of the labyrinth, this concept, is that the hero has a linear journey, leaves home, fights a distant dragon, and returns home something.
He's changed. He's more
Yes.
mature. He's accomplished something. Yeah.
Will now be a better, civil servant or person, a member of society for it, better for it, the adventure. The heroine's labyrinth is not linear. It's more like a labyrinth.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Douglas points out, which is just kind of mind-blowing, is how many stories that focus on women that have metaphorical labyrinths, sure, which often represent the constructs of society and expectations of society. But in some films, like this one, literal labyrinths.
Yes.
Just popped off in my head. Millie Bobby Brown just did that film called Damsel, where she was literally in this cavern in a labyrinth.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
And she was on this quest to defeat. Yeah, anyway.
Oh my
Also
gosh.
mind blowing
Another
is how many
example.
times we've said the word labyrinth on this episode.
Yeah.
Because of Shadow's Labyrinth and the Heroine's Labyrinth and now the movie Labyrinth and oh my gosh.
Very, very thematic this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm going to have to dub in at the beginning the secret word so that we could all just scream throughout this whole show. But yeah,
The
and I
rubber
won't get
chicken falls when someone says labyrinth.
Oh yes, the secret word.
No.
I won't go into all the archetypes. Listen to the interview; it's really cool. But as I was reading the book, gosh, yeah, this movie is so perfect for this analysis,
Oh,
including the
very
fact that some of these movies some stories that feature labyrinths in these female-centric stories, the entrance to the maze is near home and hidden.
Mhm.
And again, Alice in Wonderland, Westworld.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyway,
Whereas the hero's labyrinth, he goes off on a journey.
yes,
The woman's labyrinth tends to be a hidden place near home. I see.
Yeah,
yes, and it's not a hero's labyrinth because it's linear. It's not a labyrinth.
It's a hero's
journey.
journey.
Okay.
Right,
Just
Journey.
okay,
They
yeah.
could just slip there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heroine's
no.
labyrinth, hero's journey. Got it.
Yeah, and along those lines, and I want to be kind to Robert Eggers because I think he's a great filmmaker, which was great. I saw Nosferatu, which was a good film. I think ultimately it fails for me. Maybe it's just because of the story, and I don't blame him because I think he was just trying to, faithfully adapt the 1922 silent film into a talkie, and in that he probably succeeded, and maybe even he's made something even better because of technology and sort of like that.
I thought you were going to say because
But-
you don't believe in vampires.
That too, Bigfoot and vampires.
There's another theme.
Yeah,
Right. Among the things. Yeah.
yeah. Now, if you don't know, I thought this is fascinating, right? So Nosferatu is this 1922 German silent film.
Which I've seen.
Okay. Oh wow. We got to do a podcast about 1920s pop culture and Cal be an expert.
Probably.
We finally found a movie Cat
Yeah.
saw. Someone called Ripley.
Yeah, fantastic. We can be done now. But I had always thought and heard that they made the movie, and it's Nosferatu. It's set in Germany, different country. It's all different character names, but it's the story of Dracula because they couldn't get the rights to Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that might not be true.
Oh.
According to this gentleman who's a film historian, David Callett, he explained that the low-budget film was made by Germans for a German audience, and that explains all the variations, why they moved it to Germany, why they were German-named characters, and so forth. They weren't trying to avoid a copyright infringement lawsuit, which, by the way, they got from Stoker's heirs.
Anyway. Okay.
Oops.
Ultimate judgment was by the court, destroy all copies of the film. No. Much like the fabled
That didn't
vampire
happen.
himself, the movie survived anyway, and of
Mhm.
course, it's still available to watch today.
Yeah.
This movie's it seems like it's going to be a big success. They did this really kind of cool thing where they did sort of counter programming in Christmas and had it kind of like we talked about a few episodes ago about horror movies and
Yeah.
joy occasions.
Yeah.
And it worked. I saw it on the day after Christmas myself. So it's doing well at the box office. It's a great story. When I think about though Eggers doing Labyrinth, and we're talking about this idea that this heroine story where, like John was saying, it's metaphorical, it's, inside, it's kind of, you're not really sure what's going on, except she goes on a journey, or maybe doesn't. By
Right.
the end of the story, she is a changed person. And it may be an allegory entirely from just going from puberty to adulthood. But the way this Nosferatu ends, and I won't spoil it for you, it's
No, don't.
just so, it's kind of a letdown. And again, maybe he was just adapting faithfully the silent film. But the silent film differs from Dracula in a significant way, which has to do with the ending, which again, I won't ruin. I guess my point is to say that I hope that maybe he needs to get some women involved. If it's going to be a story about a young person going through a journey, then maybe he needs some women involved, because this story, the Nosferatu story, much like the Dracula story, has a woman at the center of the story. And it's got to be handled the right way. Otherwise, I think it comes across like a dude telling a woman's tale. It's kind of how I felt about the ending of Nosferatu.
Got it.
Got it. So we're seeing though, yeah? No.
Yeah,
no.
absolutely.
Okay,
It
all
wasn't until the end where I was like, oh, really? That's how it goes?
Oh,
Love saves the day again. Bullshit.
You're not getting anything out of me.
okay.
Saying.
In a sense, if you've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, and now we're talking about something in the early 90s, so we're getting closer to the 80s.
Yeah.
It is kind of Love Saves the Day. And that one's supposedly a faithful adaptation of the book. Because Mina does at the end say, like, you know what? I love you, Dracula. I want to be with you forever. Turn me into a vampire. And stuff happens,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm trying not to give anything away. Anyway, I'll leave it the way I did. Maybe, Eggers has got to get a hold of Douglas's book. There you go.
Yeah. Send it to him.
Yeah, get them together.
Yeah, put them in the writer's room.
Yeah.
Brandon says Labyrinth needs to be left alone. It was great to start with.
All right.
And it's fine.
There you go.
Sure. Don't mess with things that are fine. Marcus has come up with a new way for us to advertise this show by quoting Cat. It's challenging to listen to.
Oh, no.
Huh.